Hey guys, Steinixos here. So today we'll be talking about Shanks versus Mihawk and trying to figure out who is stronger. Now this is a debate that has been going on in the One Piece community since the start of time. But in the most recent chapter of One Piece, which had a 3.5 billion belly bounty reveal for Mihawk, which is currently the 6th highest bounty in the series as of this date, and a panel saying that Mihawk is stronger than Shanks in terms of swordsmanship skills, the debate has recently intensified to an astronomical degree. Now, I generally try to stay away from debates about characters who are shrouded in mystery. However, I've been seeing a lot of arguments going back and forth that I really think misses the mark by quite a bit. So I thought I'd just make a video addressing some of these things and summarize my thoughts on the matter. So with that said, let's get into it. Now, the first thing we need to talk about is the relationship between Haki Mastery to Swordsmanship Mastery. So I've been seeing some people claim that Haki Mastery is not a vital part of Swordsmanship Mastery. Now this is just blatantly incorrect. At a basic level, any good swordsman needs to be proficient in and constantly use at least armament Haki coating, because when you're fighting strong opponents with regular swords, they are easily destroyed, and Haki coating prevents this. Mihawk even goes as far as to say that even a slight nick on a sword is shameful for a very skilled swordsman, and even outside of just the maintenance of tools and the general increase in strength that comes from using Haki in swordsmanship, even very integral swordsmanship skills depend on how well you are able to integrate your Haki. So for example, Zoro's master told him that all good swordsmen are able to choose what they cut. So for a very skilled swordsman, the same sword that they can use to cut steel, they can choose for this same sword to not be able to even cut paper. And when we went to Wano, it was confirmed to us that this ability was an application of Haki, which they call Ryu. And as of this date, there has been no indication that a swordsman is able to do this outside of Haki use. And even the formation of a black blade, which is considered to be one of the greatest feats that a swordsman can achieve in the One Piece world, with only 2 persons seeming to have achieved this so far, Mihawk, the strongest swordsman in the world with his blade Yoru, and Ryuma, a legendary samurai known as the Sword God, with his blade Shusui. Even this, which appears to represent the pinnacle of swordsmanship, seems to at least in part be tied to Haki usage. So it is just a fact that mastery of Haki is deeply tied to a swordsman's skill set, or their mastery of swordsmanship. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Mihawk's title. From very early on in the series, we learned that Mihawk is currently the world's strongest swordsman. Now, his title has always been a bit peculiar in that we don't know exactly when he got it, nor do we know exactly what he had to do to get it. Like for example, to become the Pirate King, the clearly stated condition is that you have to get the former Pirate King's treasure, the One Piece. Now obviously, based on the fact that the One Piece is located at the end of the Grand Line, and so many people are also going for it, along the way you'll probably have to defeat a few warlords, maybe liberate a few countries, and also defeat a few emperors. But don't forget, these are all just add-ons. The clearly stated ironclad condition of a person becoming the Pirate King, regardless of any pirate's own individual definitions of what they consider to be the Pirate King, is to acquire the One Piece, the greatest treasure in the world. But with the world's strongest swordsman title, there has been no such stated condition for Mihawk. Like, don't be confused. Defeating Mihawk has become the condition for any swordsman like Zoro who actually wants to be considered the world's strongest swordsman. But we actually have no idea how Mihawk himself got that position. Like, we don't even know if the title officially existed before him. You'll note, for example, that so far in the story, Gold D. Roger was the first and only other person to be known as the Pirate King, and the title was basically created for him based on his exploits. So it could be the case that the official title of World's Strongest Swordsman did not exist in Mihawk's era until Mihawk just went around beating up all swordsmen until he was just universally acknowledged as such. But it could also be the case that there was already a recognized World's Strongest Swordsman in Mihawk's era that has yet to be revealed to us, and that Mihawk had to defeat him or her to become the strongest, just as how Zoro will have to defeat Mihawk if he wants to take the title. But if that were the case, were there any special conditions or rules under which the fight took place? Like, we really have no idea. So the specifics of Mihawk's title have always been shrouded in mystery, but it has never been a question if he actually held the title or not. him being the world's strongest swordsman is just an ingrained fact in the story at this point. Like, just as how getting the One Piece makes you the Pirate King, beating Mihawk makes you the world's strongest swordsman. This is just an established principle. Thus, once there is any discussion about swordsmanship, whatever swordsmanship entails, Mihawk has always had to be the strongest. That is his title. So it's a little weird that many people are getting overhyped about this new panel of where it says Mihawk is better than Shanks in terms of swordsmanship skills. Like, again, that could never have been a disputed fact. As long as we're talking about strictly swordsmanship, again whatever that entails, Mihawk from very early in the series has been established to be the strongest in that category. That is why he has a title. So for anyone to have tried to dispute that Mihawk is better than Shanks in terms of swordsmanship, they would have had to try to dispute Mihawk's title as the world's strongest swordsman. And we have never gotten any evidence that Mihawk's title is false or should be doubted. And if we ever did get such evidence, that would be a drastic lore changing event that would have very important implications for Zoro's dream of becoming the world's strongest swordsman. So this statement of Mihawk being better than Shanks in terms of sword skill provides no new information, and it cannot be extrapolated to make any claims outside of the clearly stated parameters. At most, it probably just serves as a hint about the particulars of the Shanks vs Mihawk's clashes, which Oda will no doubt eventually explore more deeply. Now, the final thing we need to talk about is the question expressed in the title of this video: Shanks or Mihawk? Who is stronger? So a common argument I've been seeing going around is this: Shanks is a swordsman, Mihawk is the world's strongest swordsman, therefore Mihawk is stronger than Shanks. Now again, there's nothing intrinsically wrong with this statement, but the problem is that it hinges on an if statement. Because remember, Mihawk's title specifically deals with swordsmanship skills. So whatever the rules of swordsmanship are, if a swordsman is operating within that domain, Mihawk is stronger than them. When that ceases to be the case, Mihawk will lose his title. But that is only within the domain of swordsmanship. This title doesn't automatically mean that he can beat any swordsman who can fight through other methods. So a good example of this is the Zoro vs King fight. King is very proficient in swordsmanship and is even able to give Zoro a traditional swordsman fight. However, he's also able to mid-match disarm Zoro of his swords and then punch Zoro in the face. Now this is obviously not considered swordsmanship. Zoro himself then says this, and King then emphasizes that in a fight, an opponent may not stick to the traditional method or just one method of fighting. Even Zoro himself agrees and says that if it comes down to it, if he can't use his swordsmanship methods to beat King, then he may just use non-swordsmanship methods like biting through King's neck to beat him. So a character can be stronger than another character in terms of swordsmanship, but still be weaker than them overall. Thus saying that Mihawk on a whole is stronger than Shanks because he's the strongest swordsman and Shanks is a swordsman is only true if Shanks' only method of fighting is swordsmanship. And currently, there is too little information known about Shanks to make an accurate determination about the extent of his fighting style and the extent of his fighting ability. I mean, in the new One Piece Volume 4 Billion that was released with One Piece Film Red, we learned that Shanks can choose to prevent his opponent from using observation haki. Like, yes, prior to this, we knew that if an opponent's concentration was disrupted, observation haki would become harder to do. But so far from the description, it seems as if Shanks is literally just outright able to prevent the opponent from using observation haki. Like, that is another thing entirely than an opponent just losing focus. That was not even something that many people would have thought to be possible until the One Piece Volume 4 Billion stated it. And also in the same One Piece Volume 4 Billion, we learned that Shanks uses a flaming sword. Again, yes, there are characters like King who can set their sword on fire and use flames. However, we have no idea of how Shanks produces, much less uses these flames in battle. So again, not only do we barely have any information about the extent of Shanks' fighting style, but every time we get new information about him, it completely changes an established paradigm. The only thing we can say for certain is that Mihawk is stronger than Shanks and every other swordsman as it relates to swordsmanship. and this should never have been in dispute in the first place, given that he holds the title of World's Strongest Swordsman. But when it comes down to making an accurate determination about who is stronger between the two at an overall level with full abilities considered is currently impossible. More information is just required. But anyway, that's the video guys. You can let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. And of course, don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you liked the video. But anyway, see you guys next time.